you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Livin' the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream.
What up, Dream Team? Coach D here coming at you from beautiful sunny San Diego, and welcome back to the Livin' the Dream podcast, where we're going to finish the week strong by covering how to properly fuel our bodies based on what works best for us individually in order to reach for our health, fitness, and wellness goals, and in order for us to live that dream life. And today, we're diving into one of the most misunderstood, wrongly demonized, and yet most important pieces of your nutrition strategy. We're going to go ham on protein. Yes, we're going deep into why so many people still believe protein is dangerous, especially for your kidneys. Where these outdated beliefs came from. We're going to dive deep into the role of protein in muscle gain, fat loss, aging, and long-term health. We'll talk about why the RDA is setting you up for failure and what you can do today to get the benefits of a high-protein lifestyle. So let's get after it. Part number one here, the myth that protein damages your kidneys. If you've ever heard someone say, too much protein is bad for your kidneys, then you are not alone. In fact, I've got a coaching client right now. He's in his late 60s, very resistant to eating more protein. And every time we talk about increasing it, we talk about how he's heard it's so dangerous for the kidneys. Let's break this down. Where did this belief come from? The origin is actually a misinterpretation of early studies on patients with chronic kidney disease. So to make this clear, this study was done in those with already damaged kidneys. Yes, lowering protein helped reduce further stress on the people in the study's kidneys, but somewhere along the way, the message got twisted into protein causes kidney disease. And this happens all the time. It's like there's a headline on a study. People just read the headline. They don't actually go into what the study is saying. And then this message gets perpetuated and it just gets passed down the line, and people just keep megaphoning what they think that they've heard, and people start to believe it because it's been just a message that they've heard for so long. So again, this was a misinterpretation of early studies on patients with chronic kidney disease. It's a big difference between protein causes kidney disease and lowering protein helped to reduce further stress on the kidneys of people who had chronic kidney disease. Big difference. Here's what our modern research actually says. In healthy individuals, there is zero evidence that high protein diets cause kidney disease or kidney damage. Multiple peer-reviewed studies have confirmed this. In fact, protein intake up to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight or 1 gram per pound, which we talk about all the time, this has consistently shown no harmful effects in healthy populations. If anything, low protein may be more harmful, especially in aging adults who are at risk of losing their muscle mass. So why does the myth persist? Because it's easy to repeat, it sounds sciencey, and people love to blame the foods that they don't want to eat. It's become a cultural myth, not a scientific fact. We talk about the power of protein and why it's so important for everyone, whether your goal is muscle, fat loss, better performance, or just aging better. Protein is your MVP macronutrient. Let's break this down by different types of people that we see. So the first type of person is the everyday person. Now, you don't have to be a gym rat to benefit from protein. Protein helps you regulate your blood sugar. It helps to keep you fuller longer, also called satiation. It supports your immunity, and it helps with hormone production. Have you ever crashed at 3 p.m.? You likely didn't get enough protein in earlier in the day, or you shifted your carbohydrate intake a little bit earlier in the day, which caused a energy spike and crash. Have you ever snacked your way through the evening? Well, protein would have curbed that appetite hours ago. Most people undereat protein and they overeat everything else. Protein is a lever that you can pull that helps to correct that balance. Maybe you are the person trying to build muscle, the muscle builder. You cannot build or maintain lean muscle tissue without amino acids. Amino acids come from protein. Protein gets broken down into little building blocks called amino acids. Your muscles literally break down and then they need to be rebuilt. And they do this every day. If there are no bricks, then there's no house. No protein means no gains. And especially if you're an aging person, as you get older, your body breaks down at a faster rate. You need to give the body the building blocks that it needs to build and maintain at least. But then we stimulate muscle growth through training. Resistance training is a stimulus. We build it through something called muscle protein synthesis, which is fueled by dietary protein. Multiple meals per day with at least 25 to 35 grams of protein. This is how you create the optimal environment for growth. Multiple meals, 2, 3, 4 per day with at least 25 to 35 grams, depending on how big you are and what your goals are. We talk about all the time, 1 gram per pound of desired body weight if your goal is to build muscle or change your body composition, or as you get older, be able to counteract the aging process. Try to get this to create an optimal environment for growth. Maybe you're the fat loss focused person. I just want to lose fat loss. Well, if you want to get lean, eat more protein. It has the highest thermic effect of all macronutrients, means that it burns the most calories to digest protein. It increases satiety, your hunger cues. It makes you feel fuller with fewer calories, which is huge when you're in a fat loss phase. You need to be consuming less energy than you're expending. So in order for you to feel fuller, this is one way to do it. Pull that protein lever. It preserves muscle mass while in a calorie deficit. This is key to maintaining a strong metabolism. So as you are in a calorie deficit, if your protein intake is not high enough, your body can pull from your muscle. And that is something that we want to avoid. We want to lose as little amount of muscle as we possibly can when going on a fat loss diet. The number one reason that diets fail, people lose muscle and they regain fat. Protein is the antidote to this problem. Let's talk about aging adults. If you're an aging adult, this is the group that needs protein the most and often eats the least. Starting in your 30s, they say you lose about, the numbers I've seen are 1% of muscle mass per year if nothing is done to prevent it. Think about that. In your 30s, you lose 1% of muscle mass per year if nothing is done to prevent it. Muscle is tied to your balance. So whether you fall or not, it's tied to your metabolism. So the more muscle mass and lean tissue you have, the higher your BMR, the higher your caloric burn per day is. Muscle is tied to your bone density, and it's tied to injury prevention. Frailty in your older age, it isn't inevitable. It is preventable. And protein is the foundation. I've seen this on both ends of the spectrum. I've seen elderly people who are able to roll on the ground and be just fine and get up off the floor by themselves. I've seen them be able to hang and do a dead hang with their body weight. I've seen them be able to jump. I've seen them be able to run or even sprint at different levels, of course. But I've seen it on the other end of the spectrum. I've seen people in wheelchairs. I've seen people so fragile that when they shift around, they fracture bones. I've seen people that can't lift their arms overhead, or need someone to take care of them and change them. Frailty in your older age is preventable. One of the top predictors of your longevity is muscle mass and strength. And protein is such a huge indicator of what that looks like for you in your older age. Remember, strength training and your training is the stimulus and the building blocks. Your protein intake tells that stimulus what to do with the building blocks. Let's move on to why we're so confused. The flawed recommended daily allowance and cultural bias. The recommended daily allowance for protein is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. That means if we put that into per pound, they recommend less than 0.4 grams per pound of body weight. So if I'm a 200-pound person, they're saying that 80 grams of protein is the recommended daily allowance. 80 for a 200-pound person. That's the minimum just to prevent deficiency, not the amount to optimize health. But that is the number that is getting popularized. And it's getting amplified by the people who have ulterior motives to push their dietary agenda, the ones that they think are the best. Imagine if the government recommended 6 glasses of water per day as your hydration goal, because that's the amount you need to not die. Would you just stop there at 6 glasses of water? I don't know. I would hope not. I hope that you would want to optimize your water intake for what your goals are. Yet with protein, we're stuck with these outdated lowest common denominator recommendations. Add in the rise of plant-based messaging with proper context. Add in old myths that protein is the only thing that bodybuilders use. It's only for bodybuilders. And add in fear-mongering headlines about kidneys, bones, or quote-unquote acidic bodies. And you've got the perfect storm for confusion. I get it. I understand why people are confused. I get so frustrated the more that I dive into the nutrition world, where it's like the simple things usually are the ones that are the ones that matter the most, but it's all these nitpicky, tiny little headline stealing studies that really get all the focus and all the attention. It's kind of sad the way that it happens that way. There are some real world examples here. What happens when you get it right? Let's talk about one of my clients that I have, elderly 60-year-old training 1 time a week with me, low muscle mass, and doesn't like protein. After weeks of trust building, we tested his body composition. He finally agreed to start with just 20 extra grams of protein on top of what he was eating. So he added a 20-gram shake on top of what he was eating. Obviously, whole foods are the best way to go, but when you are just making baby steps, you got to do what works best for that person, and you have to meet them where they're at. But in just 3 weeks, this guy, he felt less sore after his workouts. He had less hunger cravings, and his appetite felt more regulated. He didn't have those energy crashes. He told me he felt more energized in the morning than he has in years. We didn't even change his calories. We just hit his protein, and we worked on quality and quantity of protein. This stuff works, and it does work for most people. How can we get enough without feeling overwhelmed? Start with this simple goal: 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's a goal to shoot for. If you fall a little short, if that's too much for now, maybe you hit around the 0.7, 0.8 grams per pound and build up from there. There are some practical ways to do this. A lot of people, they love to add in eggs, which I love that for brain health. I think the whole egg is great, or Greek yogurt for breakfast. I always tell people to take their dinner and whatever protein they make for dinner, just make just a little bit more and put it into a scramble the next morning. That's a really good way to do it. Remember that eggs only have 6 grams per egg of protein. So that means if you're eating 3 eggs, you have 18 grams. That's not bad, but it's not as much as everyone thinks. There's a lot of people tell me, I eat a ton of protein. I eat 2 eggs in the morning, I eat a chicken salad, and then I have a 4-ounce protein for dinner. And I'm like, okay, well, doing the math, that's maybe like 60 grams of protein. We need to get this thing up to 100, maybe 120, maybe 150. And It's not easy when you haven't done it before, but I'm telling you, if you can get this down, if you can make a game plan and you can just try what works for you, this isn't as hard as it really is made out to be. I myself, I eat 250 to 300 grams of protein a day. Jamie, she is a 120-pound girl, and she's eating up to 150, 170. She's doing it easily throughout the day with good whole foods. She doesn't even do protein shakes like I do. You can make a protein smoothie with whey or plant-based protein. That's a nice way to get another 20 to 25 grams in. A liquid protein is really good because it doesn't fill you up as long. Eat a palm-sized portion of meat for dinner, whether it's fish or tofu or steak or anything. You can do that with lunch or dinner. And keep convenient protein on hand. So things like cottage cheese, jerky, cans of tuna, edamame, protein bars if you need to go the processed route and something that you can carry with you. There's different ways for you to be able to get your protein in. It doesn't have to be this big old thing where, oh, I can't handle this type of food, so I'm not going to do it. Okay, well, if you can't handle this type of food, what can you handle? Let's focus on the things that we can do. Here's the magic. Once you get enough protein, your entire day becomes easier. You have fewer cravings, you have more stable energy, you sleep better, and you recover better, which is huge for those of us that are training a lot. Protein becomes the anchor for your entire healthy lifestyle. So some final thoughts here. What to do now? If you've ever feared protein, I hope this episode helped clear the air a little bit. If someone you care about still believes that protein is dangerous, send them this episode. But most of all, just do this for yourself. Do these things right here. Track your protein intake for one day. Just see where you're at. Find your average. Don't change what you normally eat and just see what you normally do. Eat a normal day and track your protein. Then set a goal for this week. The next week that you're eating, maybe you add one extra protein meal to your regular diet. Maybe you hit your goal 3 days in a row. Then just notice how you feel. These small changes, they lead to massive momentum. Protein is not a fad. It's going to be the foundation of your diet. And if you'd like a little more content on what we've been talking about today, I left some really, really nice links to some studies that we were talking about today in the description of this episode. So you can go in and you can read those. You can check those out and see where I got all this information. And if you have any other questions, please let me know. I can send you some more content that I have from a lot of the experts that I follow. Just know that if you want to live a strong, lean, high energy life well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond, I believe, and the experts say, and the data says that protein is your secret weapon. Thank you so much for tuning into this Fuel Up Friday episode of the Livin the Dream podcast. Please share the knowledge that you gain with your friends and family and hold each other accountable. If this episode inspired you, share it with a friend who could benefit from adding protein into their diet. To support this podcast and to help it grow, please subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on and leave a review telling others how this podcast benefited you. Please leave a comment on this episode, letting others know how you're inserting protein into your daily routine. This is a non-cost way to help get this important wellness content into more people's ears. Tag me at livingthedream_podcast or at Coach Damien_SD and let us know how this episode benefited you. Let us know what we missed. Let us know what we got wrong. We want to know. Message us if you have any suggestions or tips that would help your Livin the Dream team that we can discuss on future episodes. I will be right here with you working on making us stronger, happier, and healthier humans. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.